Welcome back to another video. Today we are playing Love, Money, Rock and Roll. Don't worry, still playing Nightmare of the Snow, but my brother has been waiting on this game for 5 years. Pretty sure it was made in Russia or something like that. No idea what this game is about. Hopefully I don't have to censor anything in case he's a nerd. Alright. Himitsu, beauty's in the eye beholder. Clean. Huh. Guess we'll do, clean. It turns green when it's clean. OxyClean. Ooh, sakura tree. Pretty. These falling sakura petals. Does anyone really find them beautiful? Does anyone really see a deep meaning in their world? Maybe this interplay of color, the purple velvet against the setting sun, does mesmerize. Back then, I must have thought the same as I watched the leaves fall. Maybe too much time has passed. I have forgotten I have changed. Only the trees are still the same. They don't care. They came into the world before me, and they will outlive my descendants. They don't care for the beauty of their falling petals, their speed, direction, or angle. It's all the same to them. Why would they bother with such minutiae? To them, this is nothing more than a routine change of seasons. To me, though, it is a flood of memories. The tree in front of me now is exactly the same as it was that day. The day when I had to do something. The day when it was too late to do anything. It's the same. The same are the petals, too, falling with perfidious indifference. They truly don't care. This is some very intense dialogue, not gonna lie. They don't care if one day a photographer makes an entire exhibition of their images, or if a pair of sweethearts fall in even more deeply in love, enchanted by their ceaseless dance. That's how nature is. It's not how I am. Yeah, nature is beautiful. God made it. We destroy nature and build cities. Not a fan. Same as the day a year ago. The day the petals were falling off trees as well. Back then, too, nature was lying down. Not dying, no, but falling asleep. To wake up again in the spring, its fire of life rekindled. Sitting under this tree, I remember all the joy and all the sadness. Girl, do you really love me? Yes. Truly. Yes. She turned away while the petals kept falling, getting tangled in her hair, and making her look even more beautiful. You know, cherry petals really suit you. She turned around. She probably didn't want to. She probably expected something else. Elegant phrases, intelligent words, something that wasn't this. Really? Yeah, of course. She smiled. I too must have expected something different. Feelings, confessions, as beautiful as those fluttering petals. But at that time, those words were more important to me than anything else. More important than the tree, more important than the moment, more important than life itself. Because I realized that they were like a petal resting in my hand before it fell to the ground. So near, so fragile, so precious. I like the loading screen, so it looks like it's crumbled up paper. I woke up. It was all just a dream. The fan was humming as obnoxiously as ever. Its noise must have been what woke me up. I was sick of it, of course, but it was a necessary evil. The summer heat was relentless even with the doors open. It was 3 in the morning and the silence was sickening. Oh boy, 3 a.m. Dear God, better to hear the blaring of police sirens, or the shouting of a tipsy neighbor, or the screeching of car tires. Anything but this obnoxious fan. I would have turned it off a long time ago, but then I would have certainly been cooked alive by the heat. Russian winters had nothing on Japanese summers. Nice kitchen. With effort, I got up and went to the kitchen for some water. What were Russian winters like anyway? Muffled creaking came from the floorboards underneath my feet, but the rest of the house, which consisted of 3 bedrooms, a living room, a bathroom, and some pantries, paid no attention to its sole inhabitant. Dang, it really was 3 a.m. I gulped the water down greedily, spilling half over myself. Next morning, I have to go to school. Had to? Why exactly? Maybe I was the one who came up with these stupid duties and responsibilities, straddling myself with the necessity of socializing and waiting for the useless piece of paper that would attest to me possessing a high school education. I must have invented the world myself, as was my wont. I must have made it up alongside all the other worlds that I fabricate daily, for myself, for those I knew, for the whole world. Those obligations were nothing but stupid conventions of that world. By a stroke of bad luck, it was also the world that most people viewed as the real one. I poured myself another glass of water and returned to bed. You know, that's how you wet the bed. You shouldn't drink water before going to sleep. Doctors tell you that. I don't like doctors. The moon shone brightly, animating every speck of dust. In its mournful light, my room looked entirely different, like the portal to another world. A world that was even beyond my imagination. A silver ray fell on the table, inching towards a heap of papers. School papers, an unfinished novel, letters, from my mother, from friends in Russia. So this person left Russia to go to Japan. I got up and put a particular scrap of paper into the drawer. Has it been years since it arrived? Or what would it even bother me? Then again, why was it on my table? I should have tossed it long ago. I jumped up, took a step towards the table, and came to a halt. How could I? It's not as if I hadn't tried before, more than once. The phone rings loudly. Very loudly. It was 3 a.m. Who could possibly need to talk to me at this hour? To a dejected high schooler sunk in stuff. Okay, how did a high schooler go from Russia to Japan? That's anime logic right there. Although I was used to it. Obviously, we'll answer the phone. Hello? Hi, you're not asleep? As you can tell, I am awake at 3 a.m. But stronger still, I wish that she could be here now, close by. How come? How should I know? Probably because you called me. She mumbled something unintelligible. How are things in general? How should things be in general at 3 a.m? Wow, you are a jerk. I don't know, great. Then they're great. Oh, quit it. What did you want to hear? I just wanted to call. You thought it was okay to call at 3 a.m? I saw the light come on in your kitchen, so I figured you were up. Are you spying on me? No, I was just... The line went silent for a few seconds. She must have been trying to think of something that wouldn't sound too ridiculous. It's just that I couldn't sleep either. What if I'd been sleeping? But you weren't? Alright, let's start from the beginning. What do you want? I wanted to know. Are you coming to school tomorrow? What if I am? Then I'll come get you in the morning. Now that's just great. It's 3 a.m. You're gonna come by when? 3 hours. So we won't be late. You know what? I think I'm gonna pass. You can't keep missing school. At this rate, you won't even be able to graduate and find a job. Not sure about their economies over there, but in America, you can get by without one. If you work in the worst industry possible. Oh well, no biggie. It won't be a biggie. Leave the door unlocked in the morning, You have your keys. What does it matter if I lock the door? Oh right, see you in the morning then. See you. I didn't feel like arguing. What was the point anyway? She would come and wake me up regardless. It's what she did almost every day. Why did I ever give her keys? That was a while back. It must have been about a year. The chair pedals were probably falling in that day as well. Hell with them. I was sure to set my alarm so I'd be up before she came. Not that it mattered much, but this was getting old. Wow, this guy's depressed. What's more, I was worried that I was getting too accustomed to it, seeing her face every morning. Dependent even, which was something I absolutely couldn't allow to happen. So if she wanted to come in the morning, fine, but she wouldn't be waking me up again. This guy's in denial? That's for sure. Oh boy, sunlight. 100 bells chimed with 100 melodies in my head announcing the morning. In that medley were the cheerful chirping of birds, the construction on a neighboring street, the boisterous shouts of street vendors, the fan that hadn't hummed for a second, and the doorknob. Doorbell? The fixed gaze of large green eyes, the pouting lips, and 2 red braids all informed me I had slept in. What time is it? It's still early. The early bird gets the worm. This is Himitsu. I feel like I've known her my whole life, or at least since my parents and I moved to Japan. Her mother is Russian, although she divorced Himitsu's father when we were still children. Enough lounging around, time to get up, wash up, eat breakfast, and go to school. This is how most of my days start, though after all these years I've grown used to it. So this is the generic high school friend, or childhood friend. Incidentally, I forgot to introduce myself. Nikolai. Do you like vodka, Nikolai? Nikolai. I quickly showered and dressed, and then went to the kitchen. The house really was too big for one person. In fact, it was probably designed for a multi-generational family. Grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren. All empty space felt oppressive, even when my parents were still with me. What happened to them? Now it felt like a museum or a library. Who in their right mind would want to live in one of those, especially by themselves? I don't know, you could build a garden. Bone apple tea. Same to you. An omelet and several kinds of salads graced the table. I picked up a piece of cucumber with my chopsticks and lazily rolled it around on the plate. Not hungry? I am, but I can't live off grass like a rabbit. Himitsu frowned. So instant ramen is better in your book. I don't know about better, but it's certainly tastier. Wow, that's harsh. Put real work into it, you know? I spent a whole 5 minutes. I could say nothing to counter that, so I concentrated on chewing. What are you planning to do after school today? I don't know. Kyosuke wanted to go to the movies, I think. Did you have another idea? She set her chopsticks aside and looked at me intently as about to say something important. Maybe. She laughed, trying to hide her embarrassment. Never mind, it's not important. Himitsu is in love with me. I've known this for a long time, but I've done nothing about it. At some point, I grew so used to it that I couldn't tell anymore whether she loves me as a brother or a man. To be perfectly honest, I didn't care one way or the other. If you want to go somewhere, I can reschedule the movie. You can do without me tonight. Well, actually, I wanted to check out this one store near the station. It just opened. The girls at school won't stop talking about it. Someone else in my shoes might have considered this a date, but I simply enjoyed spending time with Himitsu. Sounds like you're in denial. You haven't finished your breakfast, nor did I plan to. I might still have more to eat more grass for lunch. Why don't you ever make borscht? What's that? Or dumplings or something. And besides, I've made it before. She had made it before, true, but not the same I remembered from my childhood. I wasn't about to tell her that. It's one thing not knowing how to do something. You can always learn. It's quite another to both know and do, yet fail to meet expectations. Well, that's the case. There's a good chance you'll never learn. Yeah, sometimes people work in a restaurant. They They're super enthusiastic, but they just suck, and you do your best to get them fired or make them quit. Some people just can't do it. So, what's the story you were talking about? They sell clothes. She kept staring at me. Dresses, sweaters, clothing, women's clothing. Do you think maybe you should go with one of your female friends then? I'm not saying no, it just might be a bit awkward. Why? I don't know, it's just the way things are, and you know how I'm not great at with local customs. I was telling the truth. Anyone else would have long since gotten used to the Japanese way of life, to traditions and cultural norms, or at least to the ways of the local high schoolers. No one's gonna think anything, it's not like we're... I couldn't tell if she was more upset with me or with herself. Sometimes when I talked to Himitsu, and not only her, I'd hit a dead end, no longer knew what was expected of me, while the other person couldn't understand why I didn't get it. In the end, the entire meaning of the conversation would end up buried under an avalanche of misunderstanding, which snowballed with every new remark. At such times, it was better to agree or to remain silent. Alright. It's fine, no one's gonna think anything, why would they? Exactly. Himitsu said triumphantly and went to wash the dishes. From my knowledge, this game has like 400,000 words in the script, which means whatever different routes and such, there's a lot of dialogue. At least I can kind of control it, unlike the Glass Princess. Man, it had so many words in it and I couldn't control any of it. It just kept going and going and going. In Japan, at any rate, it was still very hot at the beginning of September. Yeah, just like these heat waves. Mitsu walked alongside me, smiling. I occasionally glanced over at her, trying to figure out what was on her mind. Not that I was particularly interested, more likely, just trying to distract myself from my own thoughts. The image of falling cherry petals kept surfacing in my mind, dragging out painful memories. As for Himitsu, she never broached the subject. Was she keen to avoid reopening the wound, or was she just showing tact? Hey, Earth to Nikolai. Do you copy? Huh? What? I'd clearly been daydreaming. We're almost there and you're still sleeping? Himitsu knit her brow. As always, her displeasure looked more comical than intimidating. I'm not sleeping, I'm solving the world's problems in my head. Like them heat waves. Oh yeah, what sort of problems? Geopolitical. Exactly them heat waves. Who else will solve them if not yours truly? Your grades are a little underwhelming for a future politician. That's not important. There's been plenty of great people who didn't get the best grades in school. Take Einstein, for instance. I see. That's not a good example. He was born with a excess IQ. We'd have probably kept chit-chatting like this if it wasn't for a scuffle happening that moment at the school gate. Several people had surrounded a girl. From a distance, we couldn't see who it was. She probably wears the same skirt all year. It must be a hand-me-down from her older sister. How does a bum like her even get admitted to our school? It's not a halfway house. Go work at the fish market. You know, you shouldn't act like that. And I've never ever experienced this kind of bullying. Hey, you're onto something. I bet that's how she spends her nights. Oh, poor thing. Mitsu paused for a second. Isn't she in your class? I'll look more closely. She did look familiar. Of course I do, that's... She was not impressed. In fact, she's our class president. Mitsu was still looking at me reproachfully. Well, what? I've never spoken much with her. Meanwhile, the scuffle, you could call it, was picking up steam. The girl remained suddenly silent, only dropping her head lower with every minute. This only continued to encourage the bullies. Come on, who'd pay money for someone like her? Except maybe a couple hundred yen. The speaker made a show of opening his wallet. Oh, this is really getting out of hand. But the other students walked right on past, pretending not to notice. These stupid traditions again, this isn't right. No. This is when you do something. You have no right. There's nothing wrong with butting in if someone's getting bullied. Granted, you can do it without being violent. Let's intervene. After all, I'm not Japanese, this guy's Russian. After all, we weren't exactly the richest kids at the school either, sorry. Hey, I yelled and headed confidently in their direction. Leave her alone. At first, they just looked at me in surprise. Iwama on the other and kept staring at the ground and didn't react at all. And who would you be? Your hair is crap. Huh. Reminds me of Josuke from can't think of the name. Yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. It's a interesting anime, that's for sure. The tone was challenging, but that only boosted my confidence. 4 against 1. Don't you think it's a bit unfair for yourselves? 2 guys from the group stepped forward, cracking their knuckles for emphasis. Seems like they could do more than trash talk. What's the hero gonna do now? One of them smirked. Yeah, what? To tell the truth, I didn't know either. I've been compelled to stand up for MR by some kind of inflamed sense of justice no more. Because here you weren't supposed to act this way, and there you were supposed to help your neighbor. But real life isn't manga or anime. In real life I had no superpowers. You're about to find out. I got up close to one of them and froze. The guy staggered back, clearly rattled. Who do you think you are? The same instant, the second guy rushed up to me, clearly intended to shove me in the chest. My reflexes kicked in before I could think. Outswung my arm. Yeah. Crack came the sound of the assailant's jaw. The world around me seemed to freeze. Imura, the other girls, and even the guy who had just punched all stared, seemingly transfixed with surprise. But this only lasted an instant. Do you have any idea who my father is? One of the girls shouted. Don't yell, let's just go, he's some sort of psycho. Another girl tried to calm her friend down. The second guy helped his fallen friend from the ground. This isn't over, we'll remember you. With these words, they quickly headed away from the school. Oh, we can save. My favorite. Yumitsu rushed over to me in the instant. Are you alright? Yeah, of course. I just punched someone in the face and hurt myself. Surprisingly, I wasn't shaken with adrenaline, as might have been expected. Everything must have happened too suddenly. Iwamura-senpai? In the commotion, I'd forgotten all about the chief cause of this kerfuffle. What kind of English is that? She stood silently, peering suddenly at us from under her eyebrows. Are you alright? Fighting is prohibited on school grounds. What? A dumb smile spread across my face. I looked over at Himitsu. She looked just as confused as I was. I'm saying there was no need to get into a fight. In case you haven't noticed, I was kinda defending you. Then you would have left in the end. They would have left in the end. They always do. Regardless, you could at least say thank you. It's common courtesy. And not only here, but in the whole world. That's just unreal. I told you not to get involved. But you did act like a real hero. Some hero, right? Wherever you've seen heroes like this in movies, heroes get thanked for saving people. But you didn't do it for the sake of gratitude, did you? Nope. I did it because I wanted to punch someone, apparently. We'll see what sort of gratitude the teachers give me. Come on, let's go. You're probably gonna get grounded. Or detention. I think that happens. I didn't get in trouble at school. I couldn't remember my wrestling school at all, even though I attended it for an entire 6 months. But for some reason, it seemed to me that schools were more or less the same everywhere in the world, as were people. Really, how many ways could there be to stuff into a kid's noggin? If Marconi and Popov could, and independently of each other, invent the radio, why couldn't identical best practices emerge in education on opposite ends of the earth? A shout from the teacher snapped me out of these thoughts. There was a reason, after all, why this was one of the best schools in the country. My class consisted largely of the children of rich and famous businessmen, politicians, showbiz stars. Sometimes I feel out of place here, but then even among the elite, there were people who were almost ordinary. Yep, you. One such person, Kyosuke, came up to me during break. I'd known Kyosuke since middle school. Hello. Looks like a guy off My Hero Academia. Hey Nick, did you hear? Did you hear what happened this morning? I looked around. She gave me a mean look, but quickly went back to what she'd been doing. No, what happened? This morning at the school gate, Kyosuke lowered his voice. There was a brawl. Some word for it. Couldn't they think of a better one? Well, I'm aware. What do you mean, did you? His eyes lit up. He leaned towards me and then continued at a rapid-fire pace. Are you the guy who punched Kurosaki from Class B? Somehow I neglected to ask his name. I answered proudly, and immediately winced. There was nothing to be proud of here. Now everyone was going to gossip about what a dangerous bully I was, and no one was going to remember that I had actually saved a poor girl from harassment. Don't get the wrong idea, I was just defending, but she wasn't there. Was I really looking to her for proof of my heroic deed, for a confirmation that I wasn't a troublemaker? Well, anyway, I was defending a girl. A girl who? Don't know who she is. Anyway, what's the matter? It's a natural reaction, you know? Anyone in my place. Any decent person would have done the same. Yeah, sure. Don't forget to introduce me to this mystery girl of yours. He seemed to want to add something, but at the moment the school bell rang. He didn't need to know the girl's name was Iwamura. She had it pretty rough as it was. Then again, maybe part of the blame lay with her. The next lesson was contemporary Japanese. I've been in Japan for 10 years now and speak the language fluently, of course, but writing still gives me grief at times. When the break arrived, I rushed out of the classroom to avoid a continued conversation about the morning's brawl. Kyosuke could be pushy and persistent, but he didn't entirely lack tact, so I was probably being too cautious. English was next. It came much more easily to me. I spent the better part of the lesson gazing out of the sports ground where a soccer match was taking place. Soon my thoughts took me far away from the school to the day when the cherry petals were falling. Fall was here, and that meant the trees would soon be shedding their foliage again. The color palette might be different this time, but would my feelings remain the same? A couple more weeks, a month at most, and I would know. The bell recalled me to reality and my stomach started gurgling noisily. Didn't have breakfast today. Let's make a cafeteria run. Yes. I guarantee you there's gonna be some sort of incident there. The game has a lot of CGI, from my knowledge. Yeah, we're always ready to chow down. A whole lot of body, more like it. However, was really hungry and didn't want to wait till lunch. I burned a lot of calories using my fist on that person's face. The memory of Himitsu's healthy, balanced breakfast was still fresh in my mind. I wanted to eat something unhealthy but delicious. Sadly, food poisoning was not on the menu. The cafeteria, like everything else at the school, is first rate. I couldn't tell you if the food here was on par with what they serve in the world's top restaurants, as I hadn't been to one, but on the world I had no complaints. Besides, the menu had plenty of European options. No borscht on them, of course. I'm gonna need to look up what that is. We entered the cafeteria. Kyosuke was babbling on about some new magical girl anime. Cringe. Though if I had to put my enthusiasm for them on a scale, I was as far from Kyosuke as Tokyo is from Moscow. Suddenly, bam! Something jabbed my side. Not too hard, but enough to be felt. On top of that, I was doused with a liquid. Oh, clumsy generic girl. Hello. I was dripping with orange juice while she gazed in bewilderment. I cannot speak. Hey, careful. I almost made it. Hey, careful. I was more frustrated than angry. She didn't react in any way. She just kept looking at me in surprise. Finally, she seemed to come to her senses. You're the one who should watch where you're going. What? I was so taken aback. I smiled like an idiot and even retreated a step. Meanwhile, the girl scowled and glared at me. I said watch where you go instead of sleepwalking. You were actually the one who bumped into me. And why would I bump into you? I was lost for an answer. The girl was talking nonsense, but she was doing it so confidently that I couldn't help but question my own judgment. And why would I? How should I know? You're the one who bumped into me. Alright, won't happen again. Wait. You're all wet. I looked myself over. Not the prettiest of pictures, to be sure. What do you suggest? A joint trip to the shower? Oh, man. These are like the worst things you could possibly say to someone. I would expect someone like that to punch you in the face, like what he did. Here, take this. She handed me a handkerchief. What a strange girl. Nick, you. He was flowing his nostrils and gasping like a fish out of water. Do you know who that was? No, who? That was Elisama. I thought Sama was used for men. Sama who? How can you not know? And you want people to believe you're a student here? I don't want that, it's just what the paperwork says. If only you paid more attention to what goes on around you. Sorry, I'm too busy looking back to that sakura tree. Such beautiful feathers. Feathers? I meant leaves. Birds are cool too, though. Elisama, she's like the school's queen. She's perfect grades, she's great at sports, she's won awards at the national, no, not even the international level. Sounds like an overachiever. Skip. I'd give up my entire manga collection to have her start a conversation with me. That means you're a weeb. You should do stuff more important with your life. Fine, a third. Alright, I get it. I should expect the police to show up at my door now and await my sentence, death by glares. Except hold on a second, I'm completely innocent. You don't get it at all. Then again, maybe you should expect the police, after all. Her grandfather is the chairman of the school's board of directors. And what am I supposed to do? Keep apologizing? She's the one who bumped into me and spilled juice all over me. Judging by the lively conversation and laughter from their table, at least I had already forgotten all about the innocence with my lowly serf self. The juice dried pretty quickly, leaving behind a noticeable yellow stain on my white shirt. I didn't really care about my appearance, but the school had its standards and didn't take kind to such sloppiness, so I had to change into a jersey and track jacket. What do you look like? In that outfit. Another uneventful lesson. It was time for a long break. Also known as... Huh? Why were you in the cafeteria if you weren't getting lunch? Is this like a second lunch? What? I can either join her. Nah, let's go for a stroll. One thing was for certain, I couldn't stay in the classroom. Actually, I just don't want to listen to Kyosuke's empty chatter for a half hour. More stories about anime, manga, and school gossip. I couldn't do it. Not that I didn't like Kyosuke, he was a good friend, but I doubted he could be of much assistance when my mind was occupied with something altogether different from magical girls. I wasn't gonna have lunch with Himitsu, but I told Kyosuke otherwise. The hallways and schoolyard were all crowded with students. But when it dawned on me, the roof. The roof wasn't the most popular spot. Wonder why. Yeah, it's totally not the most popular place except in every manga or anything like that. They're always on the rooftops doing something. Who knows, maybe you'll get into another brawl. The door hinges, badly in need of lubrication, screeched horribly as a powerful gust of wind welcomed me up. WD-40's great for that. I was forced to take a step back and grab the stair railing to steady myself. Then I found myself on the roof. The bright sun was blinding, but at least there was no one here. Or was there? At the far end of the roof, a girl was sitting on a bench and eating a bento. It was Iwamura. She was gazing out into the distance towards the horizon, looking dreamy. I hesitated to approach her, remembering the morning's incident. What was I going to say to her? The roof seemed too small for the both of us at the moment. On the other hand, I looked stupid just standing here. If I turned around now, she'd think I was scared. What was there to be afraid of anyway? I approached her slowly and stood nearby. Reluctantly, Iwamura granted me her attention. Apparently, she'd been aware of my presence all along. I mean, you spend most of your time daydreaming, so that's fair enough. Which meant I did the right thing. I remembered how she behaved this morning after the tussle with those bullies, and after that I was supposed to feel awkward around her? Or guilty? Can I sit here? I sat down, opened the bag containing my simple lunch, and glanced furtively at Iwamura's bento. It seemed just as good as Himitsu's. Well, if Iwamura really was poor, it stood to reason that she knew how to cook. You know. What? Why were those jerks after you this morning? Why do you care? How about because I was directly involved in that incident? Had the police been there, I would have gone on the books as an accomplice. You're always harassing me. What? Just because? No reason at all? You wouldn't understand. Maybe she was right, I've never been bullied. I'm Russian. I don't know the full story, sure, but it seems like nothing happens without a reason. Everyone has their own reasons. Iwamura said cryptically. But there are laws, I don't know, it's not right. Laws? She pulled away from her bento, turned towards me and looked at me severely. Laws exist for normal people, not for the people like them. Or for people like you. Should I remind you that I was the one who saved you? Would have sounded inappropriate. I was the one who helped you. You could at least have said thanks. Thanks. Now we're getting somewhere. She slammed her lunchbox closed and stood up briskly from the bench. Thanks again. Enjoy your meal. She snapped back without as much as looking at me and left. Right, see you later. I muttered to myself, quickly finished my lunch and left for class. So how was lunch with Himitsu-chan? Fine. Where was he going with this? Oh really? So that was some other Himitsu who came looking for you 5 minutes ago. Do you know she had a twin sister? Yeah, sure. I swear. Whatever, man. Kyosuke sounded offended and went back to his desk. Sorry, I'm not going for the childhood friend route. That's so generic. The teacher was trying, unsuccessfully, to call the class to attention, but most of the students were ignoring him. I mean, a lot of the students at this school were generally invested in their education and keen to learn, but a good half only sat through the lessons for the sake of their prestigious diploma. Why worry about trivialities like grades or detentions when your whole life is planned out for you decades in advance? Settle down, the teacher kept repeating. Regrettably, he could not yell at them. Alright, if you don't calm down, you're not going to know we have a new girl joining us today. Instantly, the classroom plunged into silence. In the middle of the year? Hey. I turned around and looked at Kyosuke. He sat there, mouth ajar. Who could the new kid be that even these privileged children would react like that? I faced the blackboard. The classroom was a whirl of scarlet cherry petals. Does anyone really find them beautiful? But how? Why? The girl from my visions, the visitor from the past, was standing just a few meters away from me. Well, go and introduce yourself. My name is Catherine Winters. Actually, I know a few people here already. She quickly surveyed the classroom, without pausing on anyone in particular. I look forward to studying with you. She deliberately distorted the standard Japanese greeting. Catherine Winters. So official. She'd always been just Katya to me. She was the one who had watched the petals fall. Then she moved away. She just left and never really gave a reason. She left me alone, breaking my heart and shattering my dreams. I should have been mad. Should have hated her even, but I couldn't. I disgustingly tried and hacked, and it all was. Like I'd been trapped inside a second-rate shoujo manga. Now she just needed glittering sparkles around her face and some wispy clouds in the background. I would wait for it. It was nothing I wasn't used to. Yeah, I feel like if I get involved with her, the protagonist might die or something, so that's a easy skip. We're gonna be closing or ending the video soon. Kyosuke was prattling on, annoying behind my back. My world had contracted into a dark tunnel with me at one end, immersed in total darkness, and her at the other, bathed in light. Meanwhile, the teacher shut Catherine to her desk. I was lost for worse. Was I supposed to jump in the middle of a lesson and scream, what are you doing here? Many did. In fact, no, Catherine. She'd been a student at the school before. The rest probably just hadn't expected to see a foreigner after all. There weren't that many of them even at our school. I doubt they considered me a foreigner, that is if they were even aware of my existence. I mean, with the incident you caused earlier, wouldn't surprise me. Alright, so we're going into... looks like a flashback or flashback dialogue thing. So we'll end off things here. I'm pretty sure this is meant to be like a prologue, introduce you to everybody. Then you choose the route you go on. If it's anything like the Sharon games, I doubt it'll be as dark. Maybe it will be, who knows. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget the like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I will still be continuing Nightmare of the Snow, as I've been trying to get through that game for like 2 months now. Keep getting distracted. Anyhow, I will see you all in the next video. As always, goodbye.